Yo, what's going on? It's your boy. It's me. It's DDP. No, it's Andrew. So this is something new that I kind of had the idea for about a night ago. So when I'm driving home from work, it's about a half-hour drive. So I was like, why don't we do this kind of vlog style thing? But it's going to be kind of this new unedited series that I do, and I'm going to call it Sports from My Car. And it's exactly that. I'm going to kind of recap what has happened in the day of sports or the weekend, depending on how long it's been, and just talk a little bit of sports. So obviously there's no music in the background because of copyright issues. I don't want to put anything. And you might see my hand just going to the shots because I am driving right now, just finishing shift at work. But I was like, why not? I've kind of left the YouTube channel to nothing right now because just with my life and everything, it's sometimes hard to record things and sometimes things are slow, and I'm one person. I do all my editing, I do my thumbnails, I do everything basically for my channel. But I was like, why don't we try something different? And I was like, this is the easiest thing. Drive home, seem like a crazy person and talk to yourself, and I know it's going to get dark and you're not going to see me, but I was like, just talk sports, kind of like do my thing, cover whatever's going on basically everywhere. The World Cup is on now. You got the NHL draft just happened. So I'm thinking as well, what I'm going to do with this is I'll put timestamps in the description or something. I'm going to figure it out about where I talk about what. So, there's going to be some episodes where I might not even touch on hockey. There might be some where I'm talking majority soccer, which I think this episode is going to be mainly the World Cup, soccer, and hockey, because that's the two biggest things right now. Like, there's not going to be much basketball, and I don't think there's going to be much basketball until like LeBron signs somewhere, and then when the season actually starts itself. Football, nothing going on right now. So, I'm going to be covering basically just whatever's going on. So right now, obviously, it's the World Cup is the big one. And hockey, because we had the NHL draft. So we'll start with the World Cup. So we already know a few of the results that have happened. And that is, so today, when you're watching this, the games that happened today were Argentina and Nigeria and Iceland, Croatia, which were the big ones, because the other games, I'm pretty sure the groups already decide. So we know Denmark finished second in their group, France first in that group as well. Then we know Portugal and Spain. Spain goes through first, Portugal second, and then Russia and Uruguay first, Russia second place. Which I don't think is too shocking to a lot of people that these teams kind of went on. I had Peru in my picks going ahead of Denmark. Peru, their only issue was they couldn't finish a damn goal, which sucks because they did play pretty damn well the whole tournament. Yeah, it's pretty dark where I am right now, just a heads up. It just sucks because Peru is a good team. They just couldn't finish, like I said. Denmark deserves it. They got a decent team. Christian Eriksen, Kasper Schmeichel, obviously probably the two big dogs there. But I want to talk mainly about VAR and the officiating and the consistency at the World Cup. And the biggest thing that is driving me nuts is the inconsistency of the VAR. So, it's been noted many times in my videos I am Portuguese. And we played Iran and we tied 1-1. And they went to VAR for a play that was called a handball inside the box on Cedric Soares. And it was very questionable because it's one of those things where the guy had it and Cedric's is jumping and it kind of fell and hit him in the hand. I get it if they're going to call that a penalty. And I literally said when it happened, if that's the case, you have to call that throughout the tournament. Because I've seen it happen a lot of times before, not just in the World Cup, and it's not called a penalty. So you have to be consistent with it. If it is being called a penalty in one game, it has to be the penalty in the next game. If it's not a penalty in this game, it can't be a penalty in any other game. So it happened, and Iran ends up getting a goal to make it 1-1, which took Portugal out of first place in the group. So Portugal had it all because Spain at the time was losing 2-1 to Morocco. They ended up tying 2-2 almost right when Iran scored to tie them. But regardless, if Portugal had won the game and Spain had tied, Portugal would have finished first and would have played Russia. And on the quote-unquote easier side of the bracket, which is the right side of the bracket. So that was annoying because I was a little bit annoyed yesterday about that Portugal kind of got screwed out of first, at least in my opinion, because of that play. And let's go back to the first game, Portugal and Spain. Diego Costa does that elbow on Pepe. Pepe dives. He embellishes it. I'm not afraid to admit it. But, again, they didn't call that one a foul. Okay. So let's go now to Argentina and Nigeria today. I believe it was Rojo who ended up getting the winning goal. He does that header to clear it, and it's almost the exact same play as what happened with Cedric against Iran. And he heads it off his own hand inside the box, like inside of the keeper box, like the smaller box, and no penalty. I don't even know. I can't even remember if they went to VAR. So how is it that one game VAR and the official are going to say, yeah, that's a penalty, and then the next game a referee and the VAR are going to say no? Nigeria got screwed. Let's be totally honest. Because they would have had a penalty kick. The game was still 1-1, I believe, at the time. And they could have went up 2-1. Plus, Iceland was losing. Nigeria would have been laughing because they would have went through. I would be pissed if I was Nigerian, in all honesty. It sucks. It's heartbreaking. But, you know, I don't even know if you could really say Argentina were fully the better team. They played well. They played better than they did in their first two games. I mean, they needed to. They had that urgency to win. But, God, I don't know. It sucks. I'm, again, very upset. I really liked VAR when it started. I think it's done a pretty good job this tournament. But the inconsistency between referees and using it and how some calls have gone has been so annoying. And it drives me a little bit crazy because you see in one game something be called, and then you're watching the next game and it's not called, and it could be the exact same play. Like I said, you had that happen with Cedric, and then in the Argentina game today. So, you know, the game's over. Argentina ended up winning. They're going through in second place. Croatia got first. They went 3-0 in the group. They murdered it. They played really good. So, but right now, for what we know for the knockout games, we have already got some big games. So we know Portugal-Uruguay was the one, and after Portugal-Uruguay, there's France and Argentina. So the winners there are going to play each other. So if Portugal could get by Uruguay, which is going to be a very tough test, they could have a Euro Cup final rematch with France already, or it's going to be Messi versus Ronaldo. Which is nuts. It's crazy. Spain and Russia, I think Spain should be able to win that game without an issue. As well, and then the other one is Croatia-Denmark. The way Croatia's playing, I think they'll roll through Denmark. Denmark's been okay. Like, they're, again, not bad. I still think if Peru would finish off a couple chances, they would have went through. But here's the thing. People sometimes look at these games and you go, oh man, this team was lucky. Not really. If you're not finishing your chances and you're missing the net, that's on you. That's not on the other team being lucky. If you're not scoring, it's your fault. Like, people were saying that about Morocco. They were like, oh, they're the unluckiest team. They couldn't finish a single goal. They didn't score 2 goals for the first game. I mean, they got an own goal against Iran, but they didn't score a goal until they played Spain. How are you going to sit there and say, but they deserve better? If you don't finish, I don't really think you deserve better, because that's a part of the game, and that's why you pay, or, well, I guess for the national team, you have these guys selected to play up front. If they're not scoring, that's their own fault. At the end of the day. I don't know. It's bizarre. It's been an awesome World Cup. I'm going to say that. This has been, from recent memory, I mean, as a Portuguese fan, the World Cups haven't been great to us. We usually always do better in the Euros. But I have not watched this many games and been so intrigued and so entertained as I have with this World Cup. It has been so much fun. We only had our first 0-0 draw today, which was the France and Denmark game, because they basically both knew they were going through. And, like, every game has had something, like a great goal, a great save. Like, there is always something happening in these games, which has made this World Cup just so good, and I think it's really sold it to the rest of the world, like to the people who might not watch football/soccer, and they're really enjoying it, because I've met a lot of mutuals who aren't big fans through work, and they call in whatnot, and they're telling me like they've really enjoyed just having a game on in the background. Like, they're like, yeah, it's been fun, because I look over and I feel like something's happening all the time, which is great. It's great for the game, obviously. Other than the World Cup right now, I think I'm going to kind of wait to see what ends up happening now. Like, with the rest of the knockout games, I'm going to be honest, I don't remember who plays tomorrow. I think Brazil and Serbia do. I guess today, technically, it's 12... you can let me go? Yeah, you are. It's 12:20 a.m. where I am right now. Yeah, that's the other thing with this. You're going to get commentary about my driving, too, which should be entertaining. Do I have roid rage? Roid rage. I don't take steroids. Trust me, you can look at me, you can tell. Road rage. Do I have road rage? A little bit. I don't like when people piss me off. But, yeah, World Cup. So, how this is going to work, the driving in my car, I know it's kind of all over the place right now, because it was kind of just one of these things where last night I was really thinking about the NHL draft, and I go, shit, I should kind of just talk about it. And I was like, what a better place to do it when I'm driving home, like, half hour at night, just kind of talk sports, kind of do your thing. So I was like, all right, cool. But yeah, so how it's going to work, I'm going to, depending on how the sports days are and the stories, Mondays to Wednesdays, I'll try to record a video Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. If it's slower days or slower weekends, like with NHL free agency coming up, I'll be able to talk about some of that stuff. And then obviously when the season starts and predictions and all that stuff like that, we'll take it from there as it comes, obviously. And again, I know it sucks with the lighting because it's dark. I'm literally driving in my car at night. I might even start doing some of these during the day on my drive to work. I think that would also be better because obviously it's sunny at that point as well. So let's go to the NHL. So sorry, before we get to the NHL draft. So again, I might record, I'm going to try to record on Monday, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, even Saturday, Sunday, which is usually my work schedule. And like I said, try to make something work that way. And I'll put annotations or whatever they're called about kind of when I talk about what and where. So the NHL has been a big one that I've wanted to talk about because everything with the World Cup, I feel like it's been said with the issues with VAR and everything like that. Again, I feel so awful for Nigeria. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't want Argentina to go through. A lot of that is Diego Maradona just being a drugged up addict and the fans getting more attention than the guys playing on the field. That kind of pisses me off at the end of the day. Argentina has not played good, you know, and I'm sick of the narrative too of teams getting lucky to go through, but when it's your favorite player or team like Messi, people don't want to admit to that stuff. But again, it's the world of football. That's the beauty of it, is you never know what's going to happen. I feel bad for Nigeria. Argentina going through, though, is a good thing for the sport, especially that they're going to play France. Whew, it's going to be a good game. So now we'll skip ahead to the NHL. So the NHL draft was, I would say, pretty shocking, in my opinion. I was surprised with a lot of the picks and a lot of the things that happened at the NHL draft. So we had like no trades. Well, we ended up getting a trade day 2 when it wasn't televised. The Carolina and Calgary trade, which at first glance I was like, wow, hockey trade, like that's pretty good. But the more I look at it, I'm kind of going, what is Calgary doing? Like, why, or no, what is Carolina doing? Sorry. I'm replaying the trade in my head. So Carolina trades Noah Hanifin and Lindholm. So I get it. Lindholm, they said there was already contract disputes where it didn't look like they weren't anywhere close on a contract. So Lindholm, they had said on day 1 of the draft, Carolina shopping Lindholm because they weren't anywhere close for contract extensions and they wanted to get something done, but it didn't look like it was going to happen. So I get it. And then I heard the rumors about Hanifin being available, and I know there's the rumors as well of Jeff Skinner being available. So when I heard Hanifin was available, I was kind of like, I want my team to jump on that. I'm a Buffalo fan, full disclosure. We've sucked for years. Oh well. I'm going to stay with them my whole life. I love them. But, when you hear Hanifin, a good young defenseman who was, a 3rd or 4th overall pick in his draft, somewhere around there, become available, every team in the NHL should kind of turn their head and go, hey, let's try to get this guy. Like, I don't care how good your defense is. You should be thinking we could help mold this guy, if anything, into a number 1 defenseman. So they were saying that a lot of it was his hockey sense wasn't there yet, but the kid's going to learn. He's like, 20? He's very young. So the trade ends up being Elias Lindholm, Noah Hanifin, go to Calgary for, I think it was Michael Backlund. Backlund, Fox, and Dougie Hamilton. Now, Fox, the crazy thing is he is a college free agent, I think, at the end of next year. So here's the thing. He doesn't have to sign with Carolina. He can easily, at the end of next season, if he does go back to school, I'm pretty sure this is how it works, he can just tell Carolina, see you later, I want to go test free agency, and he can go sign for whoever he wants, kind of like Will Butcher did and Jimmy Vesey. Dougie Hamilton, I get. I've been a big Dougie Hamilton fan forever, since Boston. I think he's phenomenal. But why? Like, for Carolina, you have a guy like Hanifin who, I get it, he's a work in progress, but he can become as good or better than Hamilton if he gets that potential. Like, again, he is still young. I know Hamilton is also pretty young as well. So it's kind of up there. Like, that trade was kind of like, okay. And Backlund, whatever. I would much rather have Elias Lindholm. So right now, early glance, still early to tell. I think Calgary won that trade because they got younger in the best sense. I think they'll be able to sign Lindholm if they have a competitive team. Same with Hanifin. I think they'll be okay for both of them as well. So I like the move for Calgary. I don't like it for Carolina at the end of the day. So the draft overall. Buffalo picks first for the first time since we took Pierre Turgeon. And we take Rasmus Dahlin, which is incredible. Number 2 goes up. We all knew if Carolina was smart, it was going to be the Russian. I don't know how to pronounce his name. I can't remember off by heart. They took him. Right pick. And here comes Montreal at 3. So the rumblings at the draft was Montreal was looking to trade Pacioretty in some capacity and also trying to get Ryan O'Reilly in some capacity. So the reports came out today that the Sabres wanted to try to work a package to get the 3rd overall pick. They weren't, like, there was talks about Pacioretty going to Buffalo, but Buffalo was very keen on getting the 3rd overall pick from Montreal. And it didn't end up going through, obviously. And then another report coming out today from Sportsnet saying that there was almost a 3-team deal. And what it was Montreal was going to trade Pacioretty to the Islanders for the 11th or 12th pick, which then they were going to ship the 11th or 12th pick to Buffalo for O'Reilly. But I'm very glad as a Buffalo fan we didn't just do O'Reilly for a pick, because that's not right. Ryan O'Reilly is under contract. I get he's making a lot of money, but he's a very solid player. And if they gave him up for just the 11th or 12th overall pick, I would have been pretty pissed off. I'm not going to lie. That would have been a horrible trade for the Sabres. But cooler heads prevailed. Sabres kept O'Reilly. They're going to wait to see what they can get after the Tavares sweepstakes. So back to the draft. Montreal keeps the 3rd pick. What the hell was that pick? My mock draft, so I've been doing writing for a website with a friend called Novico Sports. And I did a mock draft there. I'll probably leave a link down below. We did a mock draft there. And I had Filip Zadina always as my number 3. I have nothing against Tkachuk, but I have always felt, to the lead up to this draft since the World Juniors, as much as Tkachuk is a good player, I always felt that Filip Zadina was the best pure goal scorer in this draft. Probably up there with the number 2 pick. Close. I always just felt, again, that Zadina was that guy. So number 3 rolls around, and I'm thinking, okay, Montreal is going to take Tkachuk or Zadina. And again, in my head, I'm still saying I would take Zadina. And I heard rumblings of the guy they ended up taking moving up to the top 5. But Montreal could have easily traded down and still got this guy at 5, 6, maybe, depending on who. Maybe Arizona wanted him too, but I didn't get this pick. I was like, you have Tkachuk and Zadina still up there. So then you roll in Ottawa at 4. They take Tkachuk, which I get. Now, my argument for Zadina and Tkachuk is, I know a lot of people probably like Tkachuk more because he's been brought up in the American system, he's playing college hockey, did well at the World Juniors, and he's already, I think, like 6'4". Like, the kid's already a monster. Like, he's already grown into his body like crazy. So, you know, you're hoping that he brings that. I feel like he's a little bit more like his dad compared to his brother Matt. I feel like he's a bit more like his dad in that case. So, take Brady Tkachuk in Ottawa. Again, I'm still sitting there and I'm going Filip Zadina. I'm going, this kid's got to go soon. And I think it was Arizona next at 5. It was Arizona or Detroit. But Arizona's pick was stupid too. The kid they got, again, easily could have probably traded to like 12. They could have probably tried to trade something with the Islanders. And they took this kid where they did. I'm sitting there and I'm going, this is a joke. Like, I still don't get the pick. But Detroit, right there, steal the draft. Zadina falls in their lap. What a pick. Czech Republic, born, raised. He's in Detroit. Perfect fit. European kid going to Detroit. Like, it's the perfect storyline at the end of the day. So Detroit gets Zadina, which is absolutely incredible for them. And then the draft is going, and there's still some picks here and there that you're kind of going, oh, okay, are you sure? Like Dallas's pick. They got cheered because they were at home. What the hell? I can't remember his name, but he, like, in my mock draft, I had this guy going, like, end of the first round. Again, could have traded. The winners of the draft, at the end of the day, are the New York Islanders. And this is bar regarding nothing with John Tavares. The winners of the draft are the New York Islanders with the 11 and 12 pick because they had 2 great prospects fall into their lap. Oliver Warnstrom and I think it was Dobson, the defenseman. Dobson was picked to go from anywhere from like 5, the highest, even maybe 4, you could argue. No, 5, I would say. Like, Dobson was picked anywhere from 5 to 10, and he falls at 11 and 12 to the Islanders. And Warnstrom was, they said, I believe, like 8 to 10, like around there. But I thought the Rangers were going to take him. They took a different forward, which I was kind of like, I would rather have Warnstrom. And, you know, good on the Islanders. That's great. They added 2 very good prospects right there in those picks. Side note for the Sabres, I really liked our 32nd overall pick in the draft. The defenseman from the States, I can't remember his name, but he was a guy that they had going some point in the first round and nobody took him. He fell to the Sabres, so I'm happy. But now, quickly, because I'm almost home, John Tavares. So the latest we know is he's met with 5 new teams plus the Islanders, is what they're saying right now. And with that, he is apparently, if Dallas lands him, the reports are saying they might shop Sagan, which is crazy to me. I get it, because they're going to try to get assets to play with Tavares, but why? Sagan and Ben have been your best thing for a very long time. I would try to keep all 3, move other pieces. The Leafs apparently give a very big pitch to him, and I pray he doesn't go to Toronto. Here's the thing. If he goes to Toronto, they're saying he might sign a 1-year deal worth max money, is the reports right now, and then after sign an 8-year deal worth anywhere from 10 to 12 million a year. The thing, if he goes to Toronto, you got to sign off Austin Matthews next year. You got William Nylander, Mitch Marner, all up. You already lost Van Riemsdyk, more than likely going to sign elsewhere. And yeah, like, it's tough to say. San Jose apparently is making a very good pitch. I think at the end of the day, he might stay with the Islanders, and the reason I think he might is because of Trotz and Barry Trotz and the GM, Lou Lamoriello. I think it might be because of the two of them, Tavares stays in Long Island. Apparently Montreal wanted a meeting with him and it didn't happen. They said Boston, according to reports, the meeting kind of didn't go anywhere. They said Boston is probably already out of the race. They basically got in the race and then they just ended the race. I think it's going to come down to San Jose, the Islanders, and Toronto as your top three. That would be my guess. And from what I know and from what I've heard, it's probably going to be them. The thing with the Sharks is they want him bad, and they've already said they have a plan in place if Tavares signs that they will still keep Thornton as well. So I'm interested to see that. My take, too, is if whoever doesn't get Tavares, who is in on him, is going to go after Ryan O'Reilly from the Sabres, because Sabres are shopping him, and whoever gives... If anyone gives what the Sabres want, they'll make the trade. Now, right now, they're still saying that St. Louis really much wants him. And O'Reilly isn't traded yet as well. A big reason is because he has a bonus kick in on July 1st, which is when free agency starts as well, that it's a big bonus thing. So teams want the Sabres to pay it, which apparently they've said that's fine. We'll pay his bonus, and then we'll ship him off to somewhere else. So that's fine. So again, Pierre LeBrun, a bunch of guys from TSN and Sportsnet were saying since the draft, St. Louis and Buffalo have been in a lot of talks for O'Reilly. Now it's a matter of what do the Sabres want and what will St. Louis give for Ryan. I would like, if I'm thinking logically from the Sabres standpoint, I'm sure the conversation probably starts with Colton Parayko, defenseman, who be a hell of a part of a trade, but that's a big thing for St. Louis to give, and obviously to give a little, you need to get a little, or to get a little, you need to give a little bit. So, yeah, we'll see. It's been an interesting few days, and I think things are really going to pick up is after Tavares signs. Whoever he signs for, whether it be the Islanders, the Leafs, the Sharks, if it's the Bruins, if it's Dallas, whoever he signs for, that is the domino to fall. And on July 1st, I think we're in for some craziness. Because people aren't even really talking about the UFAs. Like, James Van Riemsdyk is a very good free agent for a team, and he's going to help on a power play and whatnot. He's a heck of a free agent. I would love him on my team any day. I've always been a JVR fan since the Philly days. So, again, we'll see, and I will keep you updated as well. It's the first edition, officially, of Sports in My Car. I think that's what I'm going to be calling it, because I'm home. I have reached my destination now. So, thank you, as always, for joining me on this magic car ride. And you'll be hearing again from me soon. Make sure to hit the subscribe button and the thumbs up. I know it's a little longer. Like I said, it's going to be like podcast style anyway. So, yeah, that's basically it. Thanks, guys.